Welcome back to Cocktails and Classics.
Hi.
In this week's episode, you have me, Dylan, Zach, Cam,
Hi.
and Ben.
Hola.
In today's episode, we watched Miracle on 34th Street, the true story of Herb Brooks, the player turned coach who led the 1980s U.S. Olympic hockey team to victory over the seemingly invincible Soviet squad. It is not Macy's propaganda, I swear.
It really paints Gimbals in a bad light.
You mean Gimbals of Elf fame?
Yes, from the Elf movie, which is actually a subtle throwback to that Will Ferrell film. But no, we're here to talk about Herb Brooks and the gang as they take on the Soviets.
Right? What a great compelling story. A bunch of amateur hockey players going up against the Soviet team after basically the rest of the world gave the thumbs up for professional athletes to play. And the US was like, nah, dog, has to be amateurs. Which should really be reinstated now because like the US basketball team is just OP over everyone. But back then it was like scrappy underdog United States, where you love to see the US. Scrappy underdogs.
True. I never had like really realized it until it was like probably 2012. Was that South Africa? And they were playing it was like professional athletes, and I was like, huh, when did they allow professionals to actually participate in the Olympics?
I think 88 was the last year that it wasn't allowed to be amateur, or it wasn't professionals, because the 92 team was the dream team, because they allowed the pros to play. And that was the first year that America was like, oh, if we're sending professionals, we're going to send the most professional.
Boy, do we have pros. We're going to send you all of the greatest players of all time and Larry Bird with half a back, and you're not going to beat us.
We're going to send you the greatest players that we have on the planet Earth, minus Isaiah Thomas, and instead we're going to throw that bitch Christian Laettner in there, because why not?
Now, you see, now I took that personally.
You know, they asked me if I wanted to play in the Olympics, and my first question was, who's all playing? Motherfucker.
To get everything kicked off and get us in the right mood, we'll talk about this week's cocktail, the 34th Street Miracle. This is from LCBO. There's a link down below. And Michelle P.E. Hunt and Laura Panter created this cocktail, and it says, it's an instant classic, perfectly balanced, crisp and tart. Create your own bright lights display and have a ceremonial lighting of the holiday tree. Plug it in and raise a toast. And the recipe is equal parts cognac or brandy, Cointreau, freshly pressed orange juice, and lemon juice. And you just shake it up. And it's all right. You know, it's citrusy and it's tart.
Fun fact, do you know what the LCBO is?
Uh-oh. Ladies...
No, it's not like that. It is the state-owned liquor board of Ontario.
Oh, nice.
So it was interesting when you sent me that link. I was like, is that the same LCBO that's like basically like they literally have like state-run liquor stores in Ontario.
Yes, it's like Alabama.
Yeah, well,
It's like the Alabama of
let's
the
not,
North American countries,
let's
right?
not. I don't want to insult Canada like that, but sure. I'm hesitant to say anything in Canada is like Alabama, but yeah, sure.
I'm sure the northern parts are very much like Alabama.
Oh, like way up?
Yeah, where none of the population actually is.
Yeah, but they get
sure that
socialized medicine everywhere there.
True.
So it doesn't matter if you're in BFE or whatever, you know?
I mean, it kind of does, because if you're in BFE, what do you think your odds are of finding a hospital that's going to provide competent care for you?
That's
And-
true, but
I'd say it's
in
about
the
the
nick
same
of
odds
time.
as finding a competent place to find care in Alabama, so...
I showed up to talk
Boom.
about the United States men's hockey team in 1980 beating the shit out of the Soviets, and you immediately have to make it about your fucking socialized medicine again.
USA.
so anyway,
USA.
I thought that was kind of neat that the LCBO actually has cocktail recipes on their website. I thought that was cool.
I just want to say, Dylan, what made you think to find a cocktail called the 34th Street Miracle for today's episode? What's the relevance there?
Well, it very well ties into the movie because the movie is called Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, checks out.
Even though they drink martinis in the movie, we did
Dude,
not
fuck
go for
that.
the martini.
Martinis are gross.
Yeah, and Homeboy made them triple strong. It's just kind of
Yes.
Especially the ones that they eat or drink with the olive. Gross.
dirty.
A dirty martini?
Yeah, gross.
Well, hang on. Do you like olives?
I don't think so.
All right. Well,
He also doesn't like vermouth, so
Yeah.
it's three
Yeah.
ingredients
I
you
don't really like the
Two out
the
of three ain't
martini in
bad.
general. So it's not starting off strong. I mean, like fruity martinis are good, like like lemon drops. And
Cameron's
stuff,
only
but-
in it for the appletini.
The appletini was disappointing. I've tried that before, and it's not as good as you'd think.
I don't think it would be good at all, so I'm sure it would probably meet my expectation of what I'd expect an appletini
Well,
to be.
I like some not fruity drinks, but I like fruity drinks, and I thought that I would like it, but I didn't end up liking it that much. So that was disappointing for me.
Cameron's appletini was a bit light on the apple and a bit hard on the teeny.
I don't.
excuse me.
I don't remember what the issue was with it, but I recall not living up to the hype that JD has for it in Scrubs.
Well, if you make yourself a 34th Street Miracle, send us a picture on Instagram at Cocktails and Classics Pod. Use the hashtag Cocktails and Classics. We'd love to see what you make and hear your thoughts on how they turn out. Recipes down below, just to double, triple, make sure you hear that. Check the show notes. There's cool shit down there.
There's rarely cool stuff. You don't ever have to check it.
All right, well,
I'm just kidding. We should actually put some Easter eggs down there for people who really check it.
$3 million.
We actually have been putting Easter eggs down in the show notes.
No.
Cameron doesn't check the show notes, confirmed.
Sit back, sip on this week's cocktail, and check it out. It's on Disney
You
Plus.
guys act
if
like
you-
I listen to the podcast at all.
Well, that's why we only have 30 listeners.
I already listened to it. I listened to it right here, baby.
I listened to it here. I can't do it again.
A brief plot summary of A Miracle on 34th Street. When a nice old man who claims to be Santa Claus is institutionalized as insane, a young lawyer decides to defend him by arguing in court that he is the real Santa Claus.
That's so weird because
Thank
that cuts
you.
out half
That
the
is
movie.
perfect. No, that's a great brief summary. We don't have to explain
No.
the entire fucking movie. The point of this is for the people at home to make the cocktail and watch the movie.
So Miracle at 34th Street currently sits at a 7.9 out of 10 on IMDb. It won 3 Oscars, was nominated for another.
It won 3 Oscars.
It won Best Actor in Supporting Role, Best Writing Original Story, and Best Writing Screenplay. Don't know what the difference between Best Writing Original Story and Screenplay is, but,
So which character won the Oscar?
Edmund
I'm
Gwynn.
gonna guess. I'm gonna
Santa.
guess
Is that
Edmund
Santa
Gwynn
Claus?
Chris
played-
Kringle.
Yeah.
Okay. He's a supporting
Santa
role
Claus.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how. I
in
guess
the movie about Santa Claus. He is the supporting role as Santa
Yeah.
Claus.
Maureen
Doris
O'Hara
is
and,
like the main
and,
character.
Fred Gailey would have been the other. I don't know the actor who
Yeah.
played him. John
John
Payne.
Payne.
Yeah,
They would
those would
probably
have
be
been
the
considered
stars.
technically the stars of the movie. Edmund Gwynn was a supporting.
That's stupid. The
Edmund
dude's literally on
Gwynn's-
the cover of the movie.
What?
What?
I'm looking at the movie poster right now, and the dude's like in the background of it. The
Santa
focal
Claus?
point of the movie poster is
Well, when
Doris and Fred.
Dylan, did you say what year the movie came out?
47.
The movie came out in 1947. We're not watching the remake with Matilda. That ain't us.
No.
And
Also,
the
I've heard
classics.
Richard Attenborough.
that the ending. I've heard the ending for that 1990 whatever version, and it sounds a lot worse than the ending of this one.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought the ending of this one was pretty bad when it was just like some dude down in the mail office
I thought
was
that was
just like,
funny.
let's send all the letters to Santa.
Okay, I thought that was kind of clever how he was like, "Oh, it's the post office." So in the 1990 whatever version, I don't know. I didn't look this up. This is what my wife told me. So crucify her if this is wrong. But basically,
Wow. Bold, sir.
I'm just saying, don't come for my throat here. But apparently,
Going for throats or putting people on boards.
apparently in that movie, he the lawyer looks down at like $1 and is like, reads the "In God We Trust" part and is like, if we can believe in God and that's on our money, which is an institutional thing, then surely we can believe in Santa Claus as well. or something like that.
Well, this makes perfect sense because when Miracle on 34th Street came out, fun bit of trivia, it didn't say "In God We Trust" on the $. That was implemented during the Eisenhower administration.
Yeah, so I think that ending is that reasoning is categorically worse than the post office.
Yeah. So the "In God We Trust" thing happened during the Cold War, which, for those of you who don't know, the Cold War was this whole thing. We don't really want to get into it, but anyway, it all culminated.
It ended, right?
And it all culminated at the Winter Olympics when Herb Brooks and a ragtag group of hockey players beat
Herb
the
Brooks
Soviet Union and went on to
and they
win
single-handedly ended the Cold War.
Do you believe in miracles?
Didn't the wall come out? Didn't the wall come down in 91?
I mean, it was over in 80. Khrushchev was just dragging it out.
David Hasselhoff ended the Cold War. I don't know about you.
And Dennis Rodman prevented the second one.
I thought it was still going until Kendall Jenner did that Pepsi commercial. I thought she ended it with that.
You know what? I think she ended all war with that. That's why we're pulling the troops out right now.
Anyway, I'm just saying that Santa Claus is definitely a socialist, right? He definitely harps on capitalism in the first 20 minutes of the film. He's like, "Oh, capitalism bad, boo."
Yeah, I liked that. I liked that part with Alfred where he was like, "There's a lot of bad isms floating around the world, but one of the worst ones is commercialism." It's like, damn, socialist fucking movie here.
It's funny too because Santa Claus's entire shtick is giving material presents to people, and that he's like, down with commercialism. But I feel like that's kind of the point.
I totally thought the first lady that he was like, oh, when he was talking to her kid and he was like, oh, you're gonna get that fire engine, and then the mom's like, yeah, Macy's doesn't have any. I can't believe you promised that he was gonna get it. Blah blah blah. And he's like, well, I have this list of where all you can get the toys, and I thought she was gonna go full Karen on Macy's. Like, how could you tell me to go to a different store? But then she was like, I kind of appreciate it. Thanks, Macy's.
Yeah, it's funny that they had that waterfall cascading effect where it was like, oh, we actually are selling more because we're telling people to go to other stores. Let's keep doing that, and let's have everybody keep doing that. And then the other stores are like, wait, Macy's is doing this? Let's also do that too. Let's tell them to go back to Macy's. And let's do that at all of our stores. And it just gradually descends into chaos.
Had anyone actually seen this movie before?
No.
I thought I did, but the more I watched it, I was like, I don't know if I've seen this.
I think I watched the remake, but when I say I watched the remake, it was shown to us in elementary school as one of the last days before Christmas break. So all I remember is
Santa Claus propaganda.
Yeah. I remember seeing
Teacher
Santa
had
Claus
a hangover propaganda.
And that's about it. But I'd never seen the original, the 47 version. But
that is something they don't tell you about. It's one of those adult things you just figure out. You know, the teacher would come in 4th grade and be in a really bad mood and tell you, all right, lights off, we're watching Osmosis Jones. And
what is this going to teach me about chemistry?
They would go put their head down and sleep for an hour. And oh, okay, I guess I had to... what the hell happened?
I don't know if I had any of those experiences.
They were
what John
hungover.
McClane would do? Is that why he got
No,
fired?
no, not John McClane. That man was a real class act. John, if you're out there,
John McClane.
not thinking about you, but hope you're doing okay.
I'm not gonna drop.
I like how he just commits the bare minimum to that. Look, I don't want to say that I'm thinking about, because I'm not, but I do want you to be okay, but I don't
It'd be weird
want
if I was
at all.
Zach,
You crossed my mind.
Did you and John McClane used to date? Because that 100% sounds like you're talking about an ex. I'm not saying I'm thinking about you, but I hope you're doing well.
Right. You're looking at their Instagram or whatever, and you're like, I just want to make sure they're doing okay. But I'm not thinking about that.
I mean, we saw each other. We saw each other 4 to 5 times a week for an hour or so, a little less. But it never really went past that. I listened to him talk.
So it was a high school relationship?
He didn't listen to me talk. I was 15. He was 60-something.
Much like this movie, he was an older man.
All right, now I really hope he's not listening.
So yeah, I don't want to name drop, but 100% had a teacher who was an elementary school teacher who later got fired because she was drinking on the job.
Oh,
and in
okay.
and in hindsight, 100% was one of those teachers that like you'd come in on a Tuesday and she'd be like super excited, and then you'd come in on a Wednesday and she'd be like in a terrible mood. Like one day she'd be like, "Oh, I love mornings. They're just the best." And then the next morning would be like, "Oh, guys, I hate mornings. We're just going to watch a movie today." And I later heard more rumor that she actually had the alcohol in her desk at the school, so
Well, who didn't?
yeah.
You know.
Well, like I
You
said,
blame him.
not
And deal
naming
with Ben the whole time.
I'm not naming names. Well, if I had to deal with the elementary school version of me and a bunch of other fucking assholes, I'd drink too.
Miss Walker, have you seen the new Batman comic? It's really great. I got issue 34.
You guys remember that Batman comic that came out a few, maybe a year or two ago, where people like super enhanced? It was like a dark image. They super enhanced it, made it bright, and you could see Batman's wiener.
Yeah, I do
No,
remember
but are we
that.
going to talk about Miracle on 34th Street?
I'm not gonna say anything, but I definitely know exactly what book that was, and I'm not talking about it any more than that.
Do you know what page it was too? You like flipped one of the sticky notes.
No, to be honest, I never read it, but
Those
I do
pages,
know
you
what
can't
it's-
really
what
flip
it
to
is.
them easily anymore. You have to
They
like
don't-
be
they
careful
don't-
to
those
pry
pages
them.
don't turn.
They are sticky.
You have to be careful when you pry them open to view. Just because I don't know, something happened. Like the ink, fused together. I don't know. Anyway, what'd you guys think of the movie? Was it cool? Was it not cool?
I'm just going to say, I'm going to come out and say it here. It didn't feel like a Christmas movie, really, to me.
What?
Yeah.
All right,
like,
run that back for me.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's like the first half, I guess, a little bit more, but the last half where he's like in an institution and it's like, then it becomes like a court drama, and I'm just like,
Yeah, it is kind of weird that the second half of the movie is just like defending Santa Claus in court. Like it feels kind of like a Family Guy sketch or something like that, where they kind of cut away and like Santa's in this like really mundane or like weird situation where you wouldn't expect Santa Claus to be.
I don't think that's fair. Look
It's like,
at
Santa Claus got a parking ticket, and it's like, it just cuts
Look
away
at-
to Santa Claus being like, pulled over for something.
Look at like a modern Christmas movie, like the Santa Claus or the Santa Claus 2. Less than half that movie is about Tim Allen being Santa Claus, and like the first one is about his, him having relationship issues with his kid, and the second one's about needing to find a wife and marries the pissy principal. But it's still a Christmas movie.
the girl who plays Susan, sorry, on a side note here, the girl who plays Susan is the lead in West Side Story. She's the female.
I mean, she's a
lead in
relatively
Rebel
famous
Without a
actress.
Cause. Yeah,
Or back in the day.
Natalie Wood is her name.
oh,
She's
Natalie Wood.
43.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I will say she was actually a pretty good like actress in this movie. Like she was actually pretty good in her role. I don't know. Like usually I feel like child actors are kind of like so-so, but like she was
That's
actually
why the
pretty
kids
good.
in Stranger Things are always rehired, because they're actually decent.
Well, yeah, they're good. Those are actually good, and they keep appearing in other movies because again, they're good. So, except for that one kid who was in Hubie Halloween, he kind of got shafted. But
Noah something, right?
Noah Schnapp, or is that the other
yeah.
dude? No.
No, it's Noah Schnapp or Schnapp, whatever.
Noah
Schnapps.
Schnapps.
Noah Schnapps.
But yeah, no, I know what you're saying about it maybe not being. I mean, I definitely think it's a Christmas movie for sure.
Oh, 100%.
But I get what
It
you're
just
saying
didn't
that the
feel like
second
it,
half
that's
didn't
what I'm
really
saying.
feel like it because it was kind of like it was a courtroom like, oh, let's get this guy, out and let's not have him.
It went
committed
from like Here
forever.
Comes Santa Claus to 12 Angry Men a little quick, and it was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? I thought
Yeah.
this was a movie about Christmas.
But
Kinda.
it was weird because it was like, all right, let's bring in these like side characters of like the judge and the DA,
Yeah.
and like no context as to really like who they are or anything, and then it's like, this is what you get for trying Santa Claus. Your kids and family hate you. Way to go, judge.
That was so funny. How
You suck, old
the
man.
judge and the prosecutor got shit from their families, and they were like, "Yeah." Their wives were like, "I can't really blame them. You're trying Santa Claus. You want to put Santa Claus into jail."
Then there was the I don't know what his position was, but the guy that was like, we're not going to be able to get you reelected because
Oh, it was
you're
his
gonna
like
tell him Santa Claus
campaign
is
Lobbyist
manager
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a campaign manager for the judge. Which, what? You're a judge. Do you really need a campaign manager?
Yeah.
Apparently,
I mean, for
apparently
that,
that's
yeah.
a big thing.
In
I mean, it's
plenty of
New York
places,
City.
yeah.
I guess that's true. It is New York City.
Or it was
so-
New York State, actually, wasn't it? It was like Supreme Court or something.
Well, that
be honest,
that
it's-
was the New York Supreme Court, but we don't have to kid ourselves. Those people are elected by whoever lives in New York City. So
Well, and let's be really honest. If he wanted to be reelected, he could try Santa Claus and then just go to the mob and do them a favor, and he'd be reelected.
good point. Good point about 1940s New York.
You could have just left it at good point about New York.
No, Giuliani took care of that.
And other things.
God damn it. I did enjoy the part when he's talking to like his campaign manager or whatever, and the guy's like, he's like, if you go out there and tell him Santa Claus isn't real, you can bet yourself 2 votes, yours and the DA's. And then as he's leaving, he's like, the DA's a Republican.
And it's funny because during that whole scene, he's basically like begging the lawyer for Santa Claus to like give him anything. Like, just can you please give me something so that I can please declare this Santa Claus real? For the love of God.
Would you like to cross-examine? No. God damn it. Please? Can you please cross-examine? Anything?
Are you sure?
Just a quick I'm gonna change gears a little bit and switch up the topic of conversation. Can we talk about the fact that it was kind of creepy that Fred was using the
Yes.
Yeah.
Doris's daughter to get with
Yeah.
Doris? Like, that's a little creepy. When she comes home and she's like, oh yeah, she's at Mr. Bailey's apartment.
The best way to get to a woman
And
is
they've
to
never met.
go through her children? What? I think that's
Yeah,
the
well, that's
worst
the other
way.
thing. Is like the first time they meet,
40s
it's like,
were a
oh
weird
yeah,
time, man.
I've heard you've been hanging out. I've heard you've been hanging out with my like child
7-year-old
daughter. How nice of you. Like, nah. In today's society, it would be like, where is she? Oh, she's with Mr. Bailey, the single creepy guy who lives on the first or who lives across the hall. Yeah,
The
that's him.
cleaner's instantly fired,
okay.
if not murdered.
Yeah, and then like post that scene, the Susan is like, "Oh, can Mr. Gale come or Gailey, whatever his name was? Can he come to dinner?" And then it's like, "Did I ask right, Mr. Gailey?" And it's like, "Oh my god, he got the kid to ask too. Like, what a fucking creep, dude."
Totally groomed
Yeah.
her.
Okay, I
Jesus,
don't know
this
if
isn't Drake.
that's not
Come
the
on.
appropriate.
Is that what that means?
He's just being a little sleazy. He's not grooming her.
Is what I thought that's what that meant.
No, what? No,
Oh my
grooming is like when you when you basically take an underage person and you like, kind of like
This is
are,
getting good. This is
are
all
really.
good.
Well, it's like when you're like
We're not
really
talking
nice
about
to
that on
them,
this
but you
podcast.
in a weird like overbearing way and like kind of a weirdly like sexual way, but not like directly. Like Drake is like, oh, let's talk about boys and
They're too young for you, but you're just waiting till they're 18.
I
basically.
would say that he groomed Susan, but for the sexual of her mother. He went after the child to get to the mom. That was his plot.
no, I don't. I
That's-
disagree. I don't. No.
No.
That's not how that works.
Anyway, I don't think she's getting groomed. I don't think that's fair. It's not a fair characterization of what's happening here. It is creepy. It's creepy and weird, but it's not grooming.
One of my favorite scenes was when Santa sent Mr. Sawyer to horny jail.
Bumped him.
Oh man, all the Kris Kringle threats, they really let Santa Claus have a violent side. I really wanted to
yeah.
see him kick drunk Santa's ass at the beginning of the movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Santa has some pent up rage, and I don't know. He
He's
just needs
mad,
to
you
let
know?
it
People
out.
keep doubting him. People are like, Santa's not real, you know? He's
People are
mad.
doubting him. They don't pay attention to what order the reindeer go. Like, come on, dog.
What the hell's
Everyone
wrong with
knows
you?
everyone knows it's Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, and Vixen. You don't just throw Comet at the front of the line. The fuck are you doing?
Idiot.
Loser.
Jesus.
One of the things that I really like about this movie and watching old movies in general is you get to see sort of that really cheesy way that you believe people used to talk. And like songs in particular, like when Kris Kringle is singing to Susan, you never had to like rhyme anything with anything back in the day. You could just say whatever shit you wanted. He's like, to market, to buy a fat pig, home again, jiggity jig.
That's a rhyme.
Wait, had you
Yeah,
never...
okay, what the fuck's a jiggity jig?
Had you never heard
a
that
dance.
before? That's like a...
No.
That's
But
like a
regardless
thing.
of if I've ever heard it before.
To market, to buy a fat pig, or it's to market, to buy a fat hog, I think is the other line of it.
That's the second line.
Yeah.
Home again, jiggity something.
Jog,
Hog.
probably.
Okay, but like, come on. Like when people talk about how modern like rap music is trash, I wanna give them this lyricism and tell
I'm
them
gonna give them 1940s hip hop music.
yes, from Kris Kringle,
I don't want to hear
DJ
it.
Chrissy Cray.
Because of you, Zach, I've had to hear the words, I am the Glub Glub.
I am the glub go glub.
Shrubble dabble shrubble shrubble dabble double swab.
So I don't think you get
I
an
love
opinion
books.
on what
This
rhyming
basement
and
is a
music
true
gets
treasure
to be.
trove.
Listeners, if you hate yourself, go on YouTube or even Spotify.
If you
We
love
discovered
yourself.
it's on Spotify, and just do a Google search for Glob Glow Gab Galab. Spell it the way you think
The
it should
way it
be.
sounds.
It'll come up.
Google will autocorrect you. Don't worry.
You're gonna hate yourself after.
I am the glub go gobble up.
Jesus. This movie is definitely like a time capsule of the 40s, though. Like at the end when
Yeah.
they go into the house or whatever, and Gailey and Walker are looking each other in the eye, and he's like, "You doubted me," and she's like, "Well, it was just my common sense, my stupid common sense." And you're just like women can't have a fucking opinion in the 40s. Like, God. Just
I will say it was nice to see like whenever Doris would enter the room, all of the men in the room would stand up. That was sort of a nicety. There
was
were
like
plenty
Mad
of
Men, really.
unniceties, but yeah.
I feel bad for her kid a little bit though.
Oh,
'Cause, like,
Susan
her-
was a pawn.
No,
Yes, she
it
was.
I was just saying that like the mom
Susan
was
was a
like,
complete-
"You
Okay,
ain't have
no,
an imagination."
no, I was. It's more that point where her mom was like, "Things aren't, Santa's not real, nothing's real. Get in the real world, like you can't have an imagination." Like she's talking about this thing where she goes to like hang out with kids her age, and kids her age are like pretending to be zoo animals, which is like a normal thing. And she's like, "I'm not an animal," and then like like hurries off. And you're like, what type of parent? Like, why?
Yeah, there was
Your
one
kid.
person in this movie that cares about Susan, and it was Kris Kringle.
Yeah. I don't know how they found the most genuine person to play Santa Claus. Like, I don't know.
Oh, and he was such
I
a
really
good
liked
Santa Claus,
I
too.
liked his act. I don't know. I thought he was just a generally like
He's a good Santa.
happy dude, like a happy old dude, and like I can't imagine anybody playing that character today. Like I can't
Yeah,
think
like-
of a single person.
It's not over the top. It's not just like in your face, jolly,
Anthony
happy, whatever.
Hopkins.
They made Santa a real person. Oh
Right.
yeah, Hannibal Lecter. Hey
Yeah.
kids, what do you have on your list?
I hope it's Chianti. But like I literally can't imagine an actor playing that.
Rudolph with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Oh my god! And like I said, like it's like you said, it's not like an overbearing like in your face type of thing. He's just like a generally positive guy who's just like trying to do the right thing and is nice like the whole time, except for when he bonks the dude in the head.
All right, Mount Rushmore of Santa Clauses. Go.
Mount Rushmore Santa Clauses.
Mount Rushmore of Santa Clauses.
Bro, I don't know.
Tim Allen.
Yeah, Tim Allen's up there because that's one of them that I know.
I mean, Edmund Gwynn has to be on
One
there.
of them I know.
I mean, I think this dude's got to be on there. This is like one of the oldest, like most classic Christmas movies. I feel like he's got to be up there.
Mickey Rooney, who voiced Kris Kringle in Santa Claus is Coming to Town, like the claymation old
Oh yeah.
TV special, definitely deserves a spot on the list.
Isn't Mickey Rooney the one who plays the really racist character in 16 Candles? Or am I-
No, he plays
No.
the really racist character in
Racist
Breakfast at
character,
Tiffany's.
Breakfast at Tiffany's. Yes.
It was
Oh.
in his defense, it was a different time.
It was a different time, 5 years ago. Okay.
I'm looking up top Santa Clauses of all time.
All right.
Is Paul Giamatti on there for his classic work as
Oh my
Fred
God.
Claus?
So this
Billy
is
Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
Bad Santa.
Okay, Billy Bob Thornton goes to the top. This is
Richard
from
Attenborough.
this is from thatguywiththeglasses.fandom.com.
Jesus. All right.
They got number one. The number one greatest Santa Claus of all time is Ernest from Ernest Saves Christmas.
The hell is
If you're
that?
familiar with like the
Jesus
Ernest
Christ.
Oh,
Ernest
the,
joins
like-
the army. Ernest
Oh
goes
my
Are you
to
shitting me? This list is
Number
already out.
Number
It's
two
already
is
gone.
David Huddleston from Santa Claus the movie. 3 is this Santa Claus, Edmund Gwenn. 4 is actually Richard Attenborough from the remake. And 5 is
Are you okay?
it's Fred Savage, but I just wanted a long pause.
So this week's podcast is brought to you by Surfside Sips. They make high-impact glass straws. They're a family-owned company, and what's better than saving the turds? You know.
The turds.
The turds.
You know, I'm one of those people who hates using paper straws. Paper straws fucking
Paper straws suck.
I
They are
love
the worst
what
solution.
they do. I love that we're minimizing the use of plastic straws. I enjoy that. Paper straws suck ass.
They suck. They're the worst possible solution because turns out, guess what? Paper and water don't fucking mix, okay? I don't know who came up with it, but it doesn't work. Even though they put coating on it to try and help, it doesn't work. It just gets soggy and you end up throwing it away anyway, and that's just more waste. And so,
But you know what doesn't get soggy? Glass.
yeah.
Glass straws from Surfside Sips. And if you want to get some glass straws from Surfside Sips, you can use coupon code cocktails and classics spelled out. That's cocktails AND classics for 20% off your order.
And if you're looking for a business to support during this time, seems like a good idea. Today's episode is brought to you by Audible. Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks, ranging from bestsellers to celebrity memoirs, news, business, and self-development. But essentially what it is every month you get 1 credit to pick any title, plus 2 Audible originals from their monthly selection. So, Dylan and Zach, what are your experiences with Audible?
So, working from home nowadays, I recently used Audible to rip through one of my favorite book series. It's always great to go back and revisit some of your favorites.
And since we've recently done From Russia with Love, you could check out some of Ian Fleming's books on Audible. They have Dan Stevens, Toby Stevens, Damian Lewis, many great narrators. Read through Diamonds Are Forever, From Russia with Love, Live and Let Die. So maybe you want to get into the James Bond novels as well as the movies.
To start your free 30-day trial, go to audibletrial.com/cocktails and classics, all lowercase. Again, that's audible.com/cocktails, AND classics. After your free trial is up, it costs $14.95 per month. However, there are no commitments, and if you can't decide what to listen to, that's okay. You can roll your credits over up to 1 year.
We have a bit of a tradition around here where Zach takes over, puts us through a trivia quiz. So, Zach, what do you got for us on Miracle on 34th Street?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of those quizzes that I'm fairly proud of because I watched the movie a few times to drum up these. We're going to have a lot of cocktails and classics firsts. Question number 1. This film received a B rating from the Legion of Decency for which of the following reasons? A. Santa Claus is real and it should not be suggested otherwise. B. John Payne's performance as Fred Gailey was deeply unnerving. Or C. Maureen O'Hara played a divorced woman.
Oh, gotta be C. Gotta be C.
Yeah, I meant to bring this up while we talked about the movie, but I'm definitely leaning C because it was pretty unheard of for divorce, let alone for it to just be kind of casually dropped in the middle of the movie.
Also, this
I
reminds
didn't
me...
even think about that, to be honest. I was just like, single woman with a kid. All right,
Yeah,
whatever.
I didn't think about that at all.
No, I meant to bring it up that the daughter's like just casually like, oh, I don't know my dad. Him and my mom got divorced when I was really young. And it was like, oh, okay. Now let's get back into the holly jolly parts of the movie.
Yeah, they got that out of the way.
Yeah. Just as an aside, though, I want to... So I was really confused why the lawyer had 2 twin beds in his bedroom, right? So I
Oh,
was like, why?
same.
And
They
Mono,
can't share.
like,
It's 2 men.
What?
I said they can't share. It's 2 men. That's the
Well,
point.
and my wife was like, well, like maybe he was like in a relationship at the time or something and had another bed. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, and I Love Lucy, they slept in separate beds and they kind of had that. And I
Hays
was
Code.
like, no, that's like a fabrication. They didn't want to show two people. They didn't want to show 2 people sleeping in the same bed back then. She's like, wait, what? Like, yeah, they didn't like sleep in separate beds like in real life. That was just like a TV thing. And I thought everybody knew that.
That's how you make a baby, see?
Right. I was like, no, they're not sleeping in separate beds.
All right. You're all correct.
Yeah. That's really fucked up.
Yes. So
but
the Legion of
not
Decency
shocking.
was actually, it used to be like a highly respected thing. People would look up Legion of Decency reviews before going to see a movie at the Nichols show. And yeah, the part where they casually drop that Maureen O'Hara is divorced got some gasps in the theater.
Oh my God.
How dare they show that on TV?
Well, mercy
movie.
me.
Everybody's clutching their pearls in the theater.
I forget what movie we talked about this in. I did bring this up about like the Hays Code and that sort of stuff, that like pre like our PG-13 ratings, that like this was, you couldn't show like sex, you couldn't have men and women in the same bed, like drinking was not okay, like all sorts of stuff like that.
Wild times.
Yeah.
Certainly. Well, maybe the opposite. Unwild time.
Not so wild times.
Right? Very mundane
I
time.
feel like drinking must have been okay because
Santa did drink in this, but yeah, I don't know.
well, and the guy like drugs his wife with alcohol to convince.
But I don't think you actually see them drink though, is the thing.
Oh, that's true. You
That's
do-
true.
it's
It's
all
always
just, like,
empty or the after effects of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was like back in the day, you couldn't show like violence in that. So shows like, hence
The aftermath.
in the Batman TV show, you had the blam pow show up anytime there was any contact being made, and that was to get past the censor because they couldn't technically show like violence in that.
Alrighty. 3-way tie with 1 point apiece. Don't know if that's ever happened before. Look it up. Listen to our old episodes and then let me know if that's happened.
We won't do
question.
the research for you. You have to go listen to all of our old episodes to figure
I
out.
started keeping hardcore track of statistics like that about halfway through season 1. I have to go back and backfill my knowledge. Question number 2. During Kris Kringle's mockery of the whole mental examination process, he rattles off a ton of fun facts, including who the first president was and who the vice president to John Quincy Adams was. So I'll ask you guys, who was the vice president? I'll ask you guys, who was the
yeah.
vice president for John Quincy Adams? Was
Knew
it
this would be
A,
a question.
Daniel D. Tompkins, B, Henry Calhoun, or C, Thomas Jefferson?
A.
Yeah, it's a.
I mean, unless Kris Kringle's wrong in the movie. Pretty sure it's A. Pretty sure he said A.
Yeah.
He did say A, but I
He
hope
could be
Kris
wrong,
Kringle
I
didn't
guess.
lie to me, that bastard.
Would Santa lie to you?
I can automatically rule out it being Thomas Jefferson, seeing as he was president or immediately after the John Adams. Hence, John Quincy wouldn't have been able to get Thomas Jefferson to be a vice president. So that's a 50-50 shot. And Henry Calhoun doesn't seem right. So I'm agreeing with you guys. I think it's A.
So let me say that Kris Kringle, you're 100% correct, does say
Oh,
that
no.
it's Daniel D. Tompkins. However, the correct
oh,
answer
no.
actually is Henry Calhoun.
That's funny.
The movie got it wrong.
That's funny. Do you think that was intentional on the movie's part?
Not a clue, man.
Interesting.
John Quincy Adams' vice president was Henry Calhoun, 1855 to 1859.
Santa Claus memed on our ass. I feel
Santa
a little
Claus.
hurt.
Wait, maybe he's not really Santa Claus, guys.
Are you sure that John Quincy Adams didn't serve 2 terms?
Pretty sure, yeah, he was a shitty president. He was the one that believed in mole people.
Oh, wait.
That's documented. John
Wait,
Quincy Adams
what?
believed that there were a society of people who lived underneath the Earth's crust in a Earth-like but inverted world. This is all documented. He wrote journals and shit about it.
No. What?
Yeah.
No, you're
JQA
saying John
believed
Quincy.
in mole people.
John
president,
Quincy
yeah.
Adams believed in mole people. That's what you're
Yeah,
saying.
in case people think
Yes.
Donald Trump is the stupidest person we've elected president, just remember
Granted,
John
It's
Quincy
been-
Adams believed in mole people.
it's been almost 200 years since then, and I wouldn't be shocked
The
if...
suggested search term is John Quincy Adams mole people. Apparently, he approved an expedition to the center of the earth.
to look for the mole people. I did a book report on it in like second grade. You had to do a book report on a president, and I was searching. I don't remember if it was Google or Ask Jeeves or what at the time, but I was searching for like fun facts about presidents, and it was like Andrew Jackson killed a bunch of Native Americans, or John Quincy Adams believed in mole people, so I wrote about the mole people. That's a fun fact.
No, fuck, that's so funny. Oh my god.
All right,
Wait a
so
real
second.
clunkers,
Hold up.
you
Hold
know?
the fucking phone here, sir. Hold on.
What?
Daniel Tompkins was vice president to James Monroe.
not John Quincy Adams. Yeah. Can I stop holding the phone? Only true facts in the Cocktails and Classics trivia section.
John Quincy Adams, our sixth president, authorized an expedition to the center of the earth to search for the mole people who he believed inhabited the bowels of the planet. What?
Wow. Santa
That's
was wrong, guys.
insane.
I'm shook. I am
Well,
shook. It.
so that begs an interesting question. Is it really Santa Claus? You know?
It is an open-ended ending.
Because
The cane.
well, cuz like he got that wrong, right? Like Santa's
Yeah.
supposed to be like, you know, all-knowing. You know,
And
he
let's
sees
be
you when
real.
you're
The old
sleeping
man.
and he knows when you're awake.
That opening scene with the
He's
reindeer.
either a stalker or he knows everything.
Every single one of those reindeer were exactly the same. You know that they printed those off an assembly line and just
Right.
shipped like 8 of them out. He could have just been bonkers the whole time.
Yeah, he could actually just be a crazy person. Which makes the whole movie a lot darker.
Yes. Speaking of Santa Claus and maybe some of the gifts that he maybe delivered, maybe didn't deliver, there's a big one at the end of the movie. Kind of the big conclusion is that supposedly Susan gets her house and Doris and Mr. Gailey live happily ever after. So, third question for you boys. Still at a 3-way tie. This could win it. What is
What was the cost of a house in 1947?
I'll do you one better. What was the address of the home that Fred Gailey and Susan Walker supposedly purchased at the end of the movie?
What?
Was it A, 24 Derby Road in Port Washington, New York? B, 161 Alloway Lane in Great Neck Gardens, New York? Or C, 1 Holiday Ave in Kensington, New York?
Dude, I don't know.
For fuck's sake. What kind of bullshit
Is
is
this
this?
in the like newspaper that she shows to Santa Claus? Is that where you got this from?
I don't believe it's ever said in the movie or shown.
So is it like the physical address of that house?
The physical address that I got from
What
the
the heck?
Nassau County tax records.
Wait, what? Wait, what?
There's been extensive research into where this house is, and the
So
internet
it's not
found
explicitly said in the movie.
it. It's
You
this
just-
house, though. Shot on location, it's this house.
Jesus
And
Christ.
the house to this day looks almost exactly the same, except for they remodeled the window in the front of it, so the roof line doesn't look exactly like it does in the film. But other than that window, it's the same house.
God damn it. Can you repeat the
Oh, yeah, sure. 24 Derby Road in Port Washington, New York. B, 161 Alloway Lane in Great Neck Gardens, New York. Or C, 1 Holiday Ave in Kensington, New York.
All right, my guess is B.
I mean, like, I'm gonna also say B, I guess. Just, like, C doesn't make any sense, and I don't know. I gotta pick between A and B, so I guess I'll go B.
I'm gonna say C. 1 Holiday Ave, Kensington, New York.
If it's Holiday Ave, I'm gonna shit myself.
Well, good news and bad news. The good news for you, and also the bad news for me, is that you do not have to change your pants. It
Nice.
is not Holiday Ave.
Nice.
Dang.
The correct answer is 24 Derby Road in Port Washington.
Can I just ask a question?
Yes.
When when you guys watch the movie and she shows him the picture, she shows Santa Susie. Let me clarify here. Susie shows Chris the picture of the house. Does it not look like just a regular like one-story house?
Yeah, it sort of does, right?
Yeah.
So I thought for sure your question was going to be whether or not it was the same house as the drawing, and I was going to be like, no, it's not, because the drawing only has one story, and as soon as she runs in the house, she goes up the stairs. I was really excited. I'm like, boom, I'm going to fucking win this shit. And then you said, what's the address? And I went, oh, this is fucking garbage. I was so hyped.
Question number 4. I love when we go to extra rounds. How many mailbags were brought in at the end of the courtroom scene?
Oh, God.
Was it A, 19, B, 20, or C, 21?
Oh, come on. They're not even, they're like close to each other. Jesus.
You are the worst.
So here's, so
counted.
they said that they have like 50,000 letters back
I
there. How
rewinded
many
so
bags
much.
do 50,000 letters fit into? That's the real question. We could do a calculation here based on how big a letter is and how big these bags are. And we could come up with an answer, but instead of doing all that work, I'm going to say A, 19.
I'm going to say 21.
I'm going to say whichever answer leads me to the mole people. Adams was apparently one of the presidents with the highest IQ, believe it or not. So he wasn't that stupid. He just had weird fucking ideas. Apparently there was a theory at the time. You've led me down a rabbit hole.
Cameron, the whole time, didn't even focus on the last couple trivia questions. He's just been researching
Well, apparently a
JQA
theory
and the
at
mole
the time
people.
was that the Earth was just different sublayers of Earth. So like
Yeah.
you'd go down and then another layer, there was like a different group of people living with like a different crust. You
Imagine
know,
going to bed at night and you seriously believe that there was an entire society below you
underneath you.
and you needed to find those people.
Well, yeah, you needed to have Congress fund an expedition to the center of the Earth.
Makes the Louisiana Purchase look not so bad.
I mean, you know, in retrospect, the Louisiana Purchase was actually a pretty good deal for us. So
I'm going with B, yeah, because I want to put an end to this. So let's pick a winner here. Who got it right?
You guys wanted to eliminate Dylan, but he eliminated you. The correct answer is 21 bags.
Yeah, I know it was 20. It was 21, but I didn't want to keep going with this sham.
that's what they all say.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I literally said it before Zach gave the answer. I said I'm gonna go with B, even though I know Dylan's right with 21. Play the tape back, motherfuckers. Play the fucking tape back.
I just knew it was like an odd number.
Apparently, John Adams tried
For
to do
fuck's
it.
sake, if I
It was
hear
only
another
a-
goddamn John Adams thing, I'm gonna fucking boot you from this meeting.
He was only a one-term president, so he couldn't get it done in one term. Can you imagine if John Quincy Adams got 2 terms, we might have had an expedition to the center of the Earth.
None of us have seen this film, so you're going to get 4 fresh reviews for Miracle on 34th Street. Who wants to go first? Let's hear what your thoughts are.
I'll do it.
Your final.
I'll go first.
I say I feel like it's season 2. Cameron still goes first.
All right, so I like this movie. I mean, I didn't love this movie.
Do you
I thought
do you
the-
like me, or do you love
Like
me?
I'm
Like,
going to pass you a note. Will you check yes or no?
It's no Star Wars A New Hope, but
It's no Return of the Jedi or The Last Jedi, but it's okay.
no, I mean the actors that played Santa Claus and I forget the little girl's name, but they were
Susie.
pretty good. Is it actually Susie?
literally
Susie
the
the
most
Groom.
generic little girl name ever.
That's
and you
why I
can't
forgot.
remember it.
Susie's like, you know.
Her mother, Doris. It's the 40s.
It's like a Karen.
I thought it was funny how the Susie said that she was playing with a kid named Homer. It's like, that's an old name. It's like playing with an Abernathy. Anyway, so I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't like a phenomenal movie. Like, my socks weren't blown off by it, but it was a fun little Christmas movie, and I thought the end was okay. Like, I thought it was pretty decent. It is kind of weird that I feel like it's kind of a Christmas movie, like family movie, but the second half of the movie is entirely a courtroom drama scene, basically, and a lot of politics, which is kind of weird. So I'm going to give it a 6. I thought it was pretty good. If you're looking to watch like old Christmas movies, I thought this was a good one. I thought I would recommend it if you're looking to watch like classic Christmas movies. Like I don't like this was pretty campy, but it wasn't like super awful in my opinion. So I'm going to give it a 6.
I agree with a lot of the things that Cameron said. This is obviously a classic Christmas movie. I'm not sure if it's a all-time great movie though. I think it does a really good take. If you look at like Christmas type movies, it's always insert Santa Claus, maybe insert some elves and reindeer, and then give us like a feel-good film to kind of wrap it all together. And I think that Miracle on 34th Street has a really unique take on that, adding in the courtroom drama. I think it's a good timepiece, but it's not like a go-to Christmas movie for me. It is less campy than things like It's a Wonderful Life, but I don't think it's like one of the all-time greats. I'm going to give it a 5 for a lot of the same reasons that Cameron said. I'll agree, if you're looking for a classic Christmas movie, throw this one on. It's going to blow away any Hallmark bullshit you're going to try to watch. But it's
Hey,
not.
whoa, Recipe for Seduction is a 10 out of 10.
Other than Recipe for Seduction, and maybe a real Christmas classic like the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I think a 5 is appropriate.
I think this movie is very meh. I do agree it's well acted, from like the Santa Claus and the little girl. She's all right. I don't know. I wasn't like blown away like you guys. I feel like were. It doesn't feel too Christmassy to me, and I said that before, and maybe that's like because the second half I was watching freaking like Law and Order or some shit. But even the first half though, it's like the movie takes place from the Thanksgiving parade to Christmas Eve, but there wasn't really. And I know I'm gonna say this, and I feel bad because like this is the same reason I feel like people don't like Die Hard or think Die Hard is a Christmas movies. There wasn't any like snow. There wasn't any like real like Christmas vibes coming on. Like of course like the main guy is Chris Kringle and like he's playing Santa and the whole thing is about him being Santa, but there was not like at least Die Hard had the decorations and the music and the stockings and that stuff, but this is like 47, so I also thought the end was like a huge cop out of like how they proved him to be Santa was that it's illegal for the mail to go to the wrong place, so he's got to be Santa, and I thought that was like a total cop out. So I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. I think it's one you watch, and much like Die Hard, which I also gave a 4 out of 10. I'll probably never watch it again.
I want that Dylan review framed and put on my wall. It didn't really have Christmas vibes except for the main character being Santa Claus, and it was about him being Santa Claus.
I mean, that's it. The one
Zero
dude is named
Chris-
Chris Kringle, and he claims he's Santa Claus, but there's not elves, there's no reindeer besides the paper ones. Like, it was just like, yeah, okay.
Well, did you catch on Santa Claus's employee card? Did you see who his next of kin were?
Yeah, well, all the reindeer. I saw
Yeah,
that.
that's good. That was almost a trivia question.
But yeah, I don't know. It's like it doesn't necessarily feel Christmassy to me, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm used to like the cheesy, campy ones, which I still don't really enjoy that much. But
Even for being old, this movie isn't super campy.
No.
and I don't think
Not
any
really.
old movie has to be campy. I don't.
No, but those are either the ones that survived or those are the ones that have been stereotyped from the era.
I agree with what you guys said. This movie felt very meh to me. We've done quite a few movies from, I guess, that kind of time period, and I was kind of like, most of the movies we watch that are older and that you kind of watch and you're like, wow, that was a lot more than I was expecting. This movie was pretty much what I expected. Nothing super spectacular. Edmund Gwynn as Santa Claus was, as we talked about, was really good. Natalie Wood as Susie was good for what you'd expect from, a child actor, especially considering the 1940s. The rest of the movie felt just kind of meh to me. I mean, I recommend everyone at least give it a watch once in their lifetime. It's a nice Christmas classic per se, but overall, I gave it a 4.5. It's okay. It's a movie. I don't know that I need to watch it again.
If you enjoyed this, don't forget to rate and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram at Cocktails and Classics Pod. Use the hashtag Cocktails and Classics to send us your drink and movie recommendations. Check out Miracle on 34th Street. It's on Disney Plus, as we said. Share us with your friends and family, and as always, watch responsibly.